In 1590, Spain controlled half the world's silver. In 1914, Britain held a quarter of the globe. At their absolute peaks, they felt completely untouchable. Today, the United States projects that same scale of physical dominance. Maintaining over 750 military bases across apps was entirely internal. They simply ran out of money. This economic death follows a 7-stage sequence that has repeated across 5 centuries, regardless of the technology or the era. And we can map the United States directly against this historical pattern. Right now, America has already completed the first 5 stages. The people living inside an empire are always the last to realize it's failing. The assumption that power lasts forever creates a massive blind spot to the terminal diagnosis right in front of them.
The sequence always starts with Stage 1, military overextension. A nation expands its global commitments until the cost to defend those borders rapidly outpaces the revenue its economy can generate. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union poured roughly 20% of its GDP into the military, desperately maintaining influence from Afghanistan to Cuba. We see that same fiscal strain today. The United States currently runs an $850 billion budget, countering threats in Eastern Europe, across the Pacific Ocean, and throughout the Middle East. The commitments exceed the capacity to pay for them. When a government can no longer cover its military bills through normal taxation, it triggers Stage 2, currency debasement. In the 1500s, the Spanish crown secretly started mixing cheap copper into their pure silver coins. They maintained the face value of the currency while quietly stripping out its actual worth to stretch their treasury. In 1971, Richard Nixon executed the modern equivalent. By officially severing the US dollar from the gold standard, the government granted itself the power to print paper money without limit. Funding a sprawling military with manipulated currency breaks a nation's economy. The money loses its purchasing power, and the entire system detaches from physical reality. This is Stage 3, the dead spiral, a mathematical trap where a government borrows just to pay compounding interest on old debt. Spain went bankrupt 4 times fighting this math. Today, America holds $36 trillion in debt, with annual interest pushing past $1 trillion. This leads to Stage 4, the loss of productive capacity. When a nation can print its way to wealth, it often chooses to import goods rather than endure the difficulty of manufacturing them. Why innovate or build when you can simply buy from abroad? Just as Spain eventually outsourced its production to France and Italy, America has hollowed out its manufacturing base. The US now relies almost entirely on foreign supply chains for critical electronics, steel, and pharmaceuticals. An economy that only consumes and never produces triggers Stage 5, social decay. The evaporation of manufacturing jobs rots out the domestic core. We saw this in 17th century Madrid, as the streets filled with citizens left behind by a hollow economy. We see the same symptoms today, with high rates of addiction, widespread homelessness, and a rapid decline in institutional trust. The math on a spreadsheet eventually bleeds into the streets. When the economic core rots out, a superpower transforms into a fractured, hostile society. This brings us to the current active threat, Stage 6, loss of reserve currency status. When foreign allies and rivals see the internal decay, they take immediate steps to protect their own economies. We are watching this happen in real time. The BRICS nations are actively building alternative financial architecture, specifically designed to bypass the US dollar. The most severe symptom of this stage is happening in the energy markets. Major producers, like Saudi Arabia, are now accepting non-dollar currencies to settle massive oil trades. The global monopoly on currency is the only safety net keeping an overextended empire afloat. Once that net breaks, the massive domestic debt is fully exposed to reality. The final step is Stage 7, total collapse. History shows us that empires do not fade away gracefully over centuries, they snap. Following extreme economic stagnation, the Soviet Union went from a dominant nuclear superpower to completely dissolved in just 900 days. The leaders of Spain, Britain, and the USSR all shared the same perspective. They believed their nations were the exception to the rule, and that historical consequences somehow didn't apply to them. But the pattern is a progression of fiscal consequences. Once the first 5 stages are reached,
The remaining sequence has historically followed with a grim consistency. With the first 5 stages already checked, the focus moves from the cause of the decline to the timing of its conclusion.